Major League Baseball fans, get ready for a close-up look from the top step of the dugout. Welcome to the Baseball Classics podcast, covering any season from 1901 to the present. We'll explore exciting pennant races, dive headfirst, analyzing and even doing some comparisons that are bound to settle an argument or start one up. And now, here's your host, Dean Patino.
Hello again, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in to Baseball Classics Diamond Cast. So glad to be with you. Thanks again for tuning in. We have a great episode coming up for you, and I'm going to share some numbers with you that are going to absolutely shock you as a Major League Baseball fan. I'm going to share those in just a moment coming up at the top part of this podcast. But first, I want to remind you, and if you're new to the Baseball Classics Diamond Cast, then you need to know about Baseball Classics Real-Time Diamond View. It's a free service that has everything that's happening in Major League Baseball every single day. We give you the latest updates. BaseballClassics.com/Diamond View. This Real-Time Diamond View service is our way of saying thank you to all the fans out there, all the customers we've had throughout the decades of Baseball Classics. It's a free service, no login, no email. Just go in and enjoy it, baseballclassics.com/Diamond View. Now, you might be asking yourself, Dean, why should I go to baseballclassics.com/Diamond View when I can head on over to MLB Trade Rumors or MLB.com or any of the other sites that are out there, and they're all fantastic sites. So I'm not asking you not to go to those sites. But what I am telling you what's different, what's special, and why we're doing this for you as a Major League Baseball fan, we scour and find all the latest that's happening in Major League Baseball every morning. And we put those updates into baseballclassics.com/Diamond View. So you won't find this information in any one single website. I 100% guarantee it. So we launched Real-Time Diamond View several weeks ago, so it's fairly new. But we know because, again, we're scouring. We have to go to many different places to find all of this information, and then we consolidate it. We put it together in a really great, digestible format for you, so it'll keep you up to date on the latest and greatest in Major League Baseball. So you don't have to jump around to all the different sites. We have it there. Now, if you want to dive into some more content, we are adding even more into Diamond View for you. Again, it's going to be very well organized. But certainly, feel free to, of course, go out. And we are fans of MLB.com and all the other sites that are out there. But again, we want to take all this and put it into one website for you that has a great mobile experience as well. So it's like getting the Cliff Notes every day. Now, we don't send an email out about it, but maybe if we get feedback and enough people on our email list want that, we could send out an email with this content every day. So kind of think of it like a digest that you get. But again, you won't want to miss out. BaseballClassics.com/Diamond View. Now I'll tell you what's really been surprising. So we've been doing this again for a number of weeks, certainly during the regular season. And during the regular season, you get live score updates, you get the schedules, you get the standings, you get all that stuff as well. But what's been really surprising to me, running Real-Time Diamond View, is the amount of information that's happening right now in the off season. It's absolutely remarkable. And you'll see that when you go to baseballclassics.com/Diamond View. And again, we have to scour, and we go to multiple places, probably at least half dozen to get all this information. But another thing that makes it special is that we include all the Major League Baseball 2024 season data that we have, players and pitchers, that you can go sort, filter, group it. You can look at team data. We put all that in there in Real-Time Diamond View. You'd have to pay to get that anywhere else, because not only is it stats that you can look at and from filtering, sorting it, grouping it, but we also include the lefty-righty data. That you would have to pay for anywhere else that you could find it. So we include that as a free service for you. You'll have a lot of fun looking through it. We score the players. There's dozens of statistical categories, so you could look at the players in all kinds of different ways, be it the batters or the pitchers, all for the 2024 season. So don't miss out. Again, we score the players as well, and actually, what we did for the first time is we not only scored the players, which we've been doing now for a number of years at Baseball Classics, but we projected who would be the MVP, the Cy Young, and the Rookie of the Year based on our scoring system. And we call it Diamond Data, by the way. So you get access to the 2024 season of Diamond Data. And we projected 5 out of 6 players that were going to win those awards. Now, of course, the MVP was a real simple one, right? I mean, we all knew that Ohtani and Judge were going to win for their respective leagues. But Rookie of the Year wasn't so easy for the American League, and we nailed that. And we missed out the Cy Young and the American League Cy Young winners. We have Cleveland's relief ace winning the Cy Young, but certainly Skubal, was very close. He was well deserving of it as well. We got Chris Sale. So anyway, this is really valuable information, and we generate all the Baseball Classics player cards using all this data. And we're the only company, doesn't matter what kind of company, we're the only company to simulate the last 6 World Series before the games are played and project who's going to win the World Series before the World Series is completed. Only Baseball Classics has done that. 6 consecutive seasons. And it hasn't been so easy. When the Atlanta Braves won, the Washington Nationals, when they won, nobody was projecting them to win the World Series. When I say nobody, hardly anybody. So that's how good this data is. And we use that to create all of our next generation real-time player cards. But anyway, go to baseballclassics.com/DiamondView. You will love it. Tell your friends about it. Again, free. Can't miss out. Again, you'll make everybody's day by sharing that link with them. All right, now let's get to it. Reversing season-ending pitcher injury rates. The rate at which pitchers are going down to season-ending injuries has been alarming over the past several decades. We've all seen it. Fans of their teams on the cusp of playing in the Fall Classic are then heartbroken when their star pitcher is suddenly out for the season. Now, here's the numbers that are going to really shock you. This is raw data showing the number of Major League pitchers who have gone on the DL, the disabled list, by decade, starting from the 1970s. 1970 to 79, 500 to 700. 80 to 89, 800 to 1,000. 90 to 99, 1,200 to 1,500. So let's pause there for just a moment. From 1970, as low as 500, to 1999, as high as 1,500. It has tripled over those decades. And during those decades, they implemented the 15-day DL. They dropped the 21 DL and added the 60-day DL to help out with this. But clearly, that's not the answer to this problem. All right, let's move on to the 2000s. So 2000 to 2009, 2,000 to 2,500 DL stints for pitchers. 2010 to 2019, 2,500 to 3,000. And then recently, 2020 to 2023, as high as 3,500. Now, just back in the 70s, we're at about 500. Now we're at 3,500. And it's just remarkable what's been happening. So the emphasis has been on spin to velocity ratio for pitchers. And that significantly increased the stress on pitchers' arms. The quest for higher spin to velocity ratio pitches is driven by the desire to overpower hitters and improve performance metrics such as swinging strikes. And of course, if you look at any stats for strikeouts dating back to the 70s up through today, you can see the tremendous increase year over year, decade, especially decade over decade, compared to prior to that. Even at the year of the pitcher, 1968, it just pales in comparison to what's been happening over the recent decades. Now, higher velocity pitches, of course, generate greater forces and torques in the arm. I mean, we all know what's happening to these pitchers' arms, particularly in the elbow and the shoulder. And the increased stress leads to higher incidence of injuries as the tissues must withstand greater loads. So many training programs now focus on increasing a pitcher's velocity, often incorporating weighted ball programs and intense strength training. While these methods can be effective in increasing velocity, they also carry a risk of injury if not properly managed and balanced with recovery. So those of you that played baseball, back in Little League, high school, college, maybe minor leagues, perhaps if you're listening to this in even pro ball, one of the things that I did when I was playing competitive baseball in my 40s, and I really needed to get my arm strength up in the outfield. So I was taking weights, and I was just as if I was throwing a baseball, like doing that motion with heavy weights. And that definitely increased my ability to be able to throw the ball farther, faster, and harder from the outfield in to the infield. But of course, with that came some shoulder problems for me, and some arm problems. Nothing really severe. I mean, not like I was doing it for a long period of time. It was just a fall league. But still, imagine what Major League Baseball players are doing throughout the entire year. Now, maybe not every single week, but most every month, if not every month, putting all that stress on their arms. So here is a list that's going to be familiar to those of you listening for the type of season-ending pitcher injuries. UCL tears. High-velocity pitches place significant stress on the UCL, increasing the risk of those tears. Rotator cuff injuries. The force required to generate high velocity can lead to strains and tears in the rotator cuff muscles and tendons. And then last but not least, stress factors. The bones in the arm, particularly the humerus, can develop stress factors from the repeated high forces of pitching. They all have one element in common: attempting to throw with high velocity. You may remember back in the day, Frank Tanana. Tanana was a really great pitcher, fastball pitcher when he first came up in the big leagues. But then he had arm injuries, and he went to all the slow curves and breaking pitches and wound up having a very effective career. But he had to switch over because, again, he was throwing with so much power. His arm just couldn't do it anymore. So many training programs now focus on increasing a pitcher's velocity, often incorporating weighted ball programs and intense strength training. While these methods can be effective in increasing velocity, they also carry a risk of injury if not properly managed and balanced with recovery. So while some pitchers such as Bob Gibson, Tom Seaver, Nolan Ryan, and Randy Johnson, among others, hurl with great velocity for decades without suffering a severe season-ending injury, while others haven't been able to, what's going on with that? Why have those great pitchers that we know threw with so much power, velocity, not suffered any major injuries and did it for a long period of time? What happened to the other guys? Why are they suffering with these season-ending injuries one after another? There's one answer to that, and it's poor mechanics. So improper pitching mechanics can significantly increase the likelihood of injury. This includes issues such as arm angle. An incorrect arm angle during the pitching motion can place undue stress on the elbow and shoulder. Now, how many pitchers have you seen throw with arm angles where you're like, how long can this guy keep throwing the ball like that as hard as he does with that kind of an arm angle? Stride length. This is another issue. An overly long or short stride can disrupt the kinetic chain, leading to compensatory movements and increased injury risk. Because, again, your stride's too long or too short, you got to make up for it with your arm. Follow-through. Inadequate follow-through can cause abrupt deceleration of the arm, stressing the shoulder and elbow. Let's go back for a moment. Gibson, Seaver, Ryan, Randy Johnson, how fluid were these guys when they threw the ball, right? When they pitched, they just looked like it was just a piece of cake. What about Jim Palmer. Again, there's many others like Greg Maddux. I mean, there's so many pitchers. They just had this great motion. And when did they go down to these significant injuries? So naturally, even with perfect mechanics, the repetitive nature of pitching can still lead to wear and tear on the body, of course. The repetitive stress from thousands of pitches over a season can cause microtrauma to tissues, which, without adequate recovery, can accumulate and result in significant injuries. So why aren't pitchers addressing poor mechanics to avoid devastating injuries? So let's get into the answer to that. And there's several reasons why poor pitching mechanics persist among Major League Baseball pitchers. One significant factor is early development and habits. At the youth level, many coaches lack the specialized knowledge to teach proper pitching mechanics, leading to the development of bad habits that persist into higher levels of play. Additionally, young pitchers who experience success despite poor mechanics often continue using them due to early positive reinforcement, making it difficult to convince them to change their approach later. Another reason is the lack of immediate consequences. The injuries resulting from poor mechanics often accumulate over time rather than causing immediate issues. This delayed onset can make it hard for pitchers to see the direct link between their mechanics and eventual injuries. Furthermore, if a pitcher is performing well and not experiencing any pain, there is little incentive to change, especially in high-stakes environments where immediate performance is prioritized over long-term health. Now, Major League Baseball clubs employ a variety of training methods to ensure their pitching staff can avoid injuries and maintain proper mechanics. Advanced technology such as high-speed cameras and motion capture systems is used to analyze a pitcher's mechanics in detail. These systems identify flaws in a pitcher's delivery that could increase injury risk. Additionally, teams conduct biomechanical assessments to understand each pitcher's unique physical attributes and movements, helping to customize training programs that address specific needs. Based on these assessments, trainers develop personalized injury prevention programs focused on correcting mechanical issues, improving flexibility, and strengthening muscles to support proper mechanics. Continuous monitoring and reassessment ensure that pitchers maintain proper mechanics and adapt as needed. All right, let's talk about warning signs in a pitcher's motion and delivery. So Major League Baseball owners and general managers closely analyze a pitcher's mechanics to identify potential warning signs that may indicate a higher risk of elbow injuries, including those that could lead to Tommy John surgery. And here are the key indicators that they look for. Inconsistent release points and elbow drag. So a consistent release point is crucial for both performance and injury prevention. Variability in the release point can indicate mechanical issues that place additional stress on the elbow. Also, watch for a pitcher whose arm angle varies from pitch to pitch. This inconsistency can lead to uneven stress distribution on the UCL. So, number one, again, inconsistent release points and elbow drag. Number two, late trunk rotation. Proper timing in trunk rotation is essential. Late rotation can cause the arm to whip through with excessive force, increasing the risk of elbow injuries. So what to watch for? If a pitcher's arm is still moving backward when their front foot lands, this could indicate late trunk rotation. Number three, high elbow or an inverted W or L position. This refers to the position where the pitcher's elbows are above the shoulders during the arm cocking phase. This position can place significant stress on the elbow and shoulder. So what to look for? Look for a pitcher who brings their elbows high and behind their body as they prepare to throw. This position is often associated with higher injury risk. Number 4, forearm flyout. This occurs when the forearm is too far away from the body during the delivery. It can cause undue stress on the elbow ligaments. What to watch for? Observe if the pitcher's forearm extends outwards away from the body excessively during the pitching motion. Number 5, poor follow-through. A proper follow-through is essential for dissipating the energy generated during the pitch. A poor follow-through can result in residual stress on the elbow. And what to watch for? If the pitcher's arm stops abruptly or they show a lack of smooth follow-through, it could indicate improper mechanics. And 6, hyperabduction of the shoulder. This involves the shoulder moving too far back, increasing excessive strain on the UCL. What to watch for on this is notice if the pitcher's arm is hyperextended backward during the cocking phase of the pitch. So with these 6, let's review them just very quickly. Again, inconsistent release points / elbow drag, late trunk rotation, number 2, number 3, high elbow, number 4, forearm flyout, number 5, poor follow through, and number 6, hyperabduction of the shoulder. So you can imagine how much is involved here when these owners and GMs are analyzing and deciding which free agent pitchers they should give a boatload of money to or not, based on what are the odds that they're going to go down. How about Jacob deGrom of Texas, right? They signed him to a big contract, and before you know it, he's out with Tommy John, just like that. So, again, teams can't be careful enough, and it does explain why it takes some extra time in the offseason to really thoroughly study all these pitchers that they're considering to sign to, again, especially these mega contracts. Studies published in sports medicine journals emphasize the link between these mechanical issues and increased UCL stress. So Dr. Glenn Fleissig conducted an extensive research on pitching mechanics and their impact on injury risk. So the education and mental training play a significant role in maintaining proper mechanics and injury avoidance. Regular workshops and seminars on pitching mechanics help pitchers understand the importance of proper technique and how to maintain it. Video analysis allows a pitcher to review footage of their performance to identify and correct mechanical flaws, providing powerful visual feedback. Mental conditioning and sports psychology techniques such as visualization, focus drills, and stress management help pitchers maintain mental toughness and consistency. Mindfulness, meditation, and relaxation exercises are taught to help pitchers stay calm and focused, reducing the mental strain that can lead to physical tension and injury. Now, proper nutrition and hydration are also essential components of a pitcher's training regimen, of course. Dietitians work with pitchers to create customized nutrition plans that support muscle recovery, strength, and overall health. Ensuring pitchers stay properly hydrated is crucial, especially during the heat of the season, as dehydration can lead to muscle cramps and decreased performance, increasing injury risk. Now, as we wrap up here, Major League Baseball teams adopt an integrated approach where coaches, trainers, medical staff, and nutritionists all work together to support the pitchers. This collaboration ensures that all aspects of a pitcher's health and performance are addressed. Continuous education is prioritized for staff and players, keeping them up to date with the latest research and advancements in sports science, which helps teams stay at the forefront of injury prevention and performance enhancement. By combining these training methods and strategies, Major League Baseball teams aim to minimize the risk of injuries and ensure that their pitchers can perform at their best while maintaining proper mechanics and overall health. So the sources that were used to create this Diamondcast for you is Baseball Prospectus on the history of the disabled list, Fangraphs, the 10-year disabled list trends, NCBI, pitching injuries and mechanics, Psychology Today, mental toughness in baseball, Major League Baseball also contributed baseball biomechanics. What is it? Baseball America, how Major League Baseball teams hire pitching coaches. StatCast, Major League Baseball Advanced Media, and Dr. Glenn Fleeser, research on pitching mechanics and injury risk. So that's a wrap on this episode of Reversing Season-Ending Pitcher Injury Rates. It goes back to poor mechanics. So we'll see you next time in the Baseball Classics Diamondcast as we will uncover another controversial topic for you. You're going to love this one. You're really going to be able to sink your teeth into it. Excited to share it with you coming up soon. So until then, hope you have an outstanding day, and we'll see you next time in the Baseball Classics Diamondcast.